Hi, everybody. It's Dane Bornhold here. I'm about half a bottle in. We're doing now parts three and parts four of episode three of the Wheel of Time rewatch. We're joined today by our special guest, General Matt Cawthon, who is not a bloody lord. But before we get to him, let's quickly ask Pips and Alex, what are you guys imbibing right now?
I'm keeping strong with last week's with I made myself a quadruple old fashioned since even though this is only episode three, I think I needed a quadruple.
And are you drinking that with like a silly straw?
No,
One
but
day.
I do have I do have a cherry in it, so like it's slightly silly for me at least.
All right, Alex, what are you doing? Raiding the minibar?
I I actually was indeed. So yeah, I got a Lagavulin 16 on me.
Holy shit! They have Lagavulin 16, or did you just pack that in your suitcase?
Nope, I had to call down to the bar and get it, but
Hmm,
well, well done. All right. Now our
good.
special guest this week is, for us at least on our Discord, needs no introduction, but we got General Matt Cawthon. Usually, what we do, Matt, is we ask our guests kind of what they're drinking and what their connection to the Wheel of Time is. So, indulge us, please.
Well, as the resident teetotaler, I've got a root beer here, and then when that runs out, I've got a Gatorade.
Oh my
Uh,
God, I
Your
feel bad
ability
for you.
your ability to watch this show sober is frightening. Honestly, it must be a superpower.
I survived Aragon. I can survive this.
You say
man,
that, but
Aragon is at least short.
I watched this section again, kind of in prep. But anyway, okay, root beer, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
But connection,
Oh yeah,
connection to the
connect
Wheel
the
of
wheel.
Time.
Yeah. So, when I was growing up, we would always go to this mall food court after church for lunch, and I just walked into the bookstore that was in the mall and thought, picked up Crossroads of Twilight, looked kind of interesting, and a few chapters in, I'm like, okay, I gotta stop reading and find the beginning of this series. And then
Um,
read through the
Little,
whole thing.
What year would that have been? Just
That would have been around 2005-ish.
okay.
I'm not exactly sure the exact year. I
so
read through.
little did you know it was 10 books that you had to go back.
Yeah, well, it said book 10 on it somewhere, so I knew that. But I read all the way through, then stopped at the end of Knives of Dreams because that was the latest one so far. I skipped New Spring, didn't read that till years later. And then read through most of the series again when the next book came out, and then
So
read
were
through.
you were doing
Then I
repeats
read the.
every
No,
time a
I
new
wasn't.
book was coming out, or?
No, I repeated once for The Gathering Storm, and then just read uh, Towers of Towers of Midnight and A Memory of Light as they came out, and then I've done a few re-listens through the whole series since then. I'm currently on my sixth or seventh total run through on Crossroads of Twilight as it happens.
I
I
think
haven't gotten any Elaine chapters yet.
I
Thank
think you're
goodness.
probably pretty similar to me. I didn't start with Crossroads of Twilight or anything like that, but around the same time period, I got the Eye of the World from my older brother, um, and probably around the same number of reads. I'd say yeah, seven or above. Although I'm only on Lords of Chaos right now, so
I gotta say,
Yeah, Ozzy
reading
makes a
Wheel.
phenomenal point in the chat. Imagine starting on Crossroads of Twilight and
Well, let me
still
tell you.
sticking with it. God bless you.
Yeah.
seriously.
Well, hey, hey.
That's true. That's true fan credentials right there. The rest of us,
Okay,
we're
hold
not
up.
true
No, no,
fans.
no, no, no. I'm going to defend this here. I get why Crossroads of Twilight is disliked by people who started Eye of the World, but if it's your very introduction to the world, it's super interesting. The prologue alone is just great with Rodolphe Pov and all that. Although I got to say, after reading that, I was really confused when I read through 9 other books and the guy never once appeared on screen.
Exactly.
You will say though that for some of those people who participated in it, namely Dane and Mana Menethrin, I believe, uh, when Prophet of the Dragon did his ranking of characters, they put Rodol Ituralde way too low, didn't they? That dude's
Uh,
S tier for
Dude,
sure.
no. I can do a whole. Maybe we'll do a great captain's video with
Dan,
Prophet one day.
Dan, you need to stay on topic. Stop shitting on Rodol.
Oh, okay. Shit. Okay.
Oh
Okay.
no, the chat messages show up on my recording. Oh, that's going to be fun.
Okay.
Well, it's
Well,
always nice to be heckled.
and for those who aren't aware, so Matt is the Lord General. Well, not he's not a Lord. He's the General of our Discord. He was one of the OG White Cloaks, original moderators of the White Cloak sub. a true fan. He's done a lot for us in terms of at least getting us connected. More so that he provided us with a new studio and our new section on this Discord. So it's been fantastic and heartwarming to get this kind of support from him. And he was helping out with the last video, and he's excited to be helping out in future ones too when he can. And excited to help us improve our low quality videos to maybe the 15%, 20% effort. I'm going to put my foot down. If we do more than 35% effort, I think we're going too far.
Dane's gonna abandon
Hey,
ship.
I'm a software engineer. We're all about minimizing effort as much as possible.
Fantastic.
See,
All right.
I'm a Marine. We're about only maximizing effort as much as possible. It's easy to be hard. It's hard to be smart. That's kind of the organizational motto.
And I drink and I know things. That's what I add to this whole thing. All right. So part 3 and part 4 is what we're going to be doing today. I know they might not come out at the same amount or same time on our YouTube, but this is what we're going to be covering with the 4 of us. Part 3, I've timed this out. So specifically, we're going to start here at this Aielman in a cage, and we've got some things to say. And we're going to get right about to where Rand has the idea to work for his supper. So before the actual wood chopping occurs, that's going to be our break point for drinks, and that's where we're going to cut the episode. We'll maybe do a 5-minute break, let everybody here in the chat go off and load up their own alcohol. And Pips and Alex and myself will, and Matt will probably find another root beer. And then we'll go from the wood chopping all the way through to the gay sex jokes that landed so well, which is at about the 40th minute of playback here. Leaving some real good Matt desecration for next week when we are going to have Trip on as our guest reviewer. So before we hit play on this, I got a couple things to say about this dead Aiel in a cage. Pips, you want to hear it?
Sure. Lay it on me.
So I saw this in high def because I went to go do a rewatch of this before, and holy shit, yeah, this is some serious blackface makeup if they're turning him into a corpse or they turn him into a black guy with red hair.
Agreed.
But yeah, like I was protesting the last time. I don't even know if corpses get this black. Like maybe we got a mortician or somebody on our Discord. But what the fuck is this, guys?
Yeah, I can't tell what happened with this. I think in later shots the coloring looks different. I don't know if that's from different shooting days or what. I can't figure it out.
We did bring it up the last time, talking about how Rand might be the only white Aielman, which would be, I mean, not necessarily interesting in terms of like the real world stuff, but interesting in terms of the book and the adaptation, I suppose. But I do agree that it wasn't until we paused on this shot that I really noticed that like this guy looks like a white guy in blackface. I think that's a good way of describing what he looks like.
And maybe it's basically to display him as a rotting corpse, but I thought that wasn't okay under any circumstances. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like, I mean, they're trying to undo Dutch culture with our Sinterklaas and Zwarte Piet, but
I mean, he's not nearly like if he was this discolored from rot, he would be bloated and like all sorts of other stuff.
I don't even want to know that, military man. But
Man, I'm just gonna say, if they seriously are gonna try and do this thing where they're going to have like, um, like Arabian people with orange hair, they are gonna get ridiculed. Like that is just slamming into that sort of weird uncanny valley phase at like 80 miles an hour on purpose. Like that is just a
I don't know. They could just cast a lot of Afghanis. I mean, that's pretty common in Afghanistan and a few other places in that region. The red dyed hair.
It would be almost as ridiculous as making this big multicultural empire speak with Texan accents.
Well, I mean, you say
simmer,
ridiculous.
simmer down there.
I say canonical.
yeah. There's and it's also a textual medium. It's not a visual medium. You'd probably have the same unconscious response to. I mean, it catches you off guard when you see it. I mean, maybe one of the funniest comedians ever is a guy named Henry Cho, who's a Japanese guy with a thick Nashville accent. Um, but I think even that is not as I don't know if jarring is the right word, but it's gonna be strange if this is seriously the play that they're gonna make. There's
Anyways, if we can advance from this a little bit, all I do want to say, kind of lastly, is um, I called it before we got that Avienda script that this was Gaul. Garen fucking teed. They're merging Gaul, Urian, all the Stone Dogs. Oh wait, we look like we're on a loop here. Neither here nor there. Um,
I
Gaul,
just skipped back
Urian, yeah,
because we missed a bit.
That's fine.
Bane and Shiad. They're all getting rolled into Avienda.
No,
They're
no, no.
not.
Bane and
They're not
Chiat are going to
forced.
show up. Bane and Chiat are going to show
No,
up for sure.
because
They're
Avienda
gonna have to show up
wants
and
to have
be.
lusty sex with Perrin, which is totally a Bane and Chiad type thing.
No,
Here, okay, this shot
they're
right
not
here.
going to
Back,
delete
can we
women.
pause on that gem? Why is that still there? Like, I know why, like in the show, you got to give something for Matt to do that's just unconscionable. But before you put this guy in a cage, um, who's played Dungeons and Dragons, right? You kill someone, you loot their corpse. Maybe they have a cool magic item or something. But this seems completely ridiculous. You've got a poor as fuck town um, that's looking for scrap iron, which we'll get to,
And
and
remember, according to this show, this Aielman was killed because he was different, and they're going to leave his valuables with him when they bury him.
I mean, all you need
not
to know is that this poor town of a bunch of degenerates, as we later see, because we know there are dark friends in this poor town, are still better people than Matt Cawthon. That's all you need to know. That's Rafe Judkins, everyone.
I take exception to that statement.
This is Ragenor's Wheel of Time, and you're just living in it.
what is it? The I'm very comfortable with murder, but I draw the line at stealing.
Yeah, exactly. Desecration of a corpse. No, standards.
All right. That was jarring to me kind of from the
That's supposed to be a
outset that they
joke.
just left
I
the
think it was
gem.
supposed to be a joke and nod to the book readers of I wonder why we never had one of these in the Two Rivers. But like, how can
All
you
right.
have that scene and then be trying to make an Easter egg for readers? That makes no
Can you,
sense.
can you pause here, Matt, real quick? Because I got to ask about that windmill. Who the fuck builds a windmill in a ravine? And you've got running water beside and no water mill. Like what are they trying to establish here? I would wager that that windmill doesn't act doesn't actually do anything. It probably has a diesel motor up at the top to make sure that it spins
I think it is a
because
water wheel. Um, there's a water
no.
wheel
Oh,
in the aqueduct.
No,
so
the
well,
aqueduct goes directly down. It doesn't actually go into the building.
I mean, we've
The
established
it doesn't
aqueduct
pour
is
into a
the
wheel
part
or
that
anything.
shoots out of me.
we've established the showrunners are all people who live in big cities and have never actually seen a windmill or a water wheel. So this
No,
makes perfect sense to me.
they're greenwashing lunatics. They should know everything about windmills. That's what the one thing that they should be researching is
Oh,
green
duh,
energy, right?
sorry, that's not an aqueduct. That's a flume. It's a mining town. Yeah, so
Yeah,
you couldn't even. And also, if you're going to put a windmill in a ravine, why wouldn't you orient it so that it's taking advantage of wind going down the ravine the long way instead of from wall to wall?
I don't know.
well, it's not a windmill either because it's uh,
Because
perpendicular to the valley. Like there would be
and
no
it has
wind
two by
hitting it.
fours and it has 2x4s for blades.
Yeah, there's no. Oh my.
It's got rags, but whatever. It looks cool according to some people. Um,
Okay.
Those people are
On
wrong.
a slightly
maybe
unrelated
we
note,
could go on, but let's pause in a little bit because we're gonna get some good shots of this town, and I really want to know what the fuck this town is mining, if they're
yeah.
mining anything,
Um,
because it.
Also,
But
as we go forward, when it comes up in those scenes, pay attention to the water level of the pond or creek or river, whatever it is down here, compared
Billings
to the
Pond,
little island, compared to the little island where the Aielman is hanging in the cage.
was he on an island by himself?
Well, they
There,
crossed a bridge to and from
yeah.
him.
Okay.
I don't know if it's an
Oh, true.
island. I don't know if it's an island, but there's water around there, so pay attention to that.
All right. So you said that this isn't an aqueduct; it's a flip. What the hell are they putting in the scale? They're weighing something. That guy looks depressed,
Yeah, they're dirt farmers.
or something. What is that? What did that person just hold up? Was that like supposed to be
Oh,
Quendiar
that was
or?
clearly supposed to be Bael'Dormon buying that. I mean, obviously,
Huh.
You might be right.
I was joking. No way.
Spaced
No.
Oyster is saying that looks like a pelvis. Maybe that is. Maybe this is like a dinosaur dig.
It did look like bone.
But why? And in a later scene, these idiots here with the
It's,
scales that remind me of Monty Python weighing the witch or whatever. Because who the hell has scales like this? They're weighing like scrap iron.
Yeah.
So is this supposed to be? This is some post-apocalyptic mine of scrap iron that's 3,000 years rested.
And their
if you're in a mining town, presumably you would have larger scales for weighing iron or metal ore.
Well, they have one. You can actually see it in the shot.
Except you don't measure raw ore. You measure finished ingots of whatever metal you're mining out. The raw ore could be of unknown purity, right? So like you get a chunk of ore, got it, then you smelt it down, you get rid of the impurities, and then you make ingots of pure metal, and then you measure that out. The measuring of just chunks of, I don't know, charcoal and like just piles of dirt and stuff like that, ridiculous.
Thanks for pausing on this shot, Matt. I don't even think this is a pelvis. This is. I have
too
no idea what
rectangular.
this is.
Yeah.
This is just stupid, but
it's just a good shot of a multicultural mining town, the way that you would expect in a mountainous region of, a backwater end of the world.
Just look at the guy's jacket on the freaking right.
Or his hat. Like, he looks like a train conductor.
What is this sticking out of like his
he's a part
belly?
of Mao's revolution. Like he's Mao's cultural revolution. That's what all I think of when I see those stupid hats. But
that actually makes sense. Rafe Judkins probably loaned him that outfit.
Oh man. All right, worst mining town ever, because they're not mining, they're basically foraging for scraps.
Also, it has to be said, Rand's bow has been strung this entire time for some reason.
I'm just happy he has a bow,
including when he was swimming across the river.
Wait. How many arrows does he even have? Like 3?
Probably.
I counted 2. I also love the cut in his coat so that his sword can stick out.
Huh.
And they're actually the quiver is about to disappear if you watch. He's got it here. He's gonna go sit down at the bar and it's gonna vanish.
Nice.
Quick question for you, Matt.
The barmaid there.
Audio from the video, like from the playback that you're doing.
That's true. Do we have subtitles up?
From it? We have subtitles up, but we're not hearing it. And I know we had that in some of our earlier vids. It doesn't have. Don't do it too loud, obviously, because everyone wants to hear us speak in our velvety voices.
Yeah, I can put on the audio, but that I don't know how the balance will be, and there won't be any way to separate it out afterwards. So.
That's all right. I mean,
we're low effort. It's fine.
We'll need it for that absolute terrible cowboy song that we have coming up.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, fuck you for reminding me about that.
I just want to say
myself to oblivion.
Bringing us back to episode 1, did you guys notice that Dark Friend Barmaid has almost as many earrings as Blacksmith?
Oh, she also has a nose ring. Oh my god. Okay. Here we go. This is freaking awesome. There we go. Can we pause? We got the first reference ever that Perrin is actually a blacksmith.
Allegedly. Rand could be an idiot.
Well, that's not alleged. That's established.
Yeah, we can't rule out the fact that Rand doesn't actually know what his best childhood friend actually does for a living. Can't rule that out.
I'm glad we were able to tell us what Perrin is. This thing that's vitally important to his backstory and characterization.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, why show if you can tell?
This is actually a good line here. That the only other fresh one in town's a Gleeman. So remember that is our Tom Marilyn is new in town, right?
Yep.
That's going to be important. It's not important later on, but anyway, it kind of important, or is it? I don't know. They also don't have any money, which is going to be hilarious when we see them in Tarvalon later. Okay, I am not hearing any anything from the show here, Matt. So
Oh man, here it is. Look at
Yeah,
that little Easter egg shot that they give us right there. You know, it's really nice when they string us along. They're like, "Hey, you know what the fans want? The fans want an Easter egg. You know what we should do? We should show them this tiny little thing that makes it seem like we also know the books and know the story. Hey, let's give this guy a coat that has on the inside like kind of like a quilt, like your grandmother might make you." And it's like, yeah, but why'd you give him a guitar? Like, they, oh,
we know the story just enough so that you know that we know that you know that you know that we know that we're shitting on this.
the
Also,
Easter eggs
the
are like offensive.
the patches aren't even right. It's supposed to look like at first glance you might think they were patches meant to patch up damages because Rand in his POV when he first sees the cloak specifically notices that the cloak is actually in really good condition. The patches are sewn on decoratively. These aren't even patches. This is like a print of a grid that was made
Yes,
as the lining.
yeah, it's a lining. It's like on like a suit jacket, you have like a nice little colorful lining so you can show your personality. That's Tom over here is wearing a black coat with a colored lining and playing a guitar.
Wait,
with
Right,
green pants.
right next to his right knee. Is that a snap?
I don't know
Right
what you're
knee?
talking about. Oh, you mean
Never mind.
this little silvery thing in his coat?
It looks like a snap to me, but sorry, ridiculous
Um,
moment. Continue with the impressive.
well, I just had something occur to me. You just said that Tom here is wearing a black coat. Given the other changes they've made to some characters, making them Taviran and whatnot, any chance that his issue with Aes Sedai might not be because his nephew could channel,
I mean,
but because he can't?
they included that dialogue in the show about Owen, right? Which
Yeah, I know.
whatever. But at this point, I wouldn't put anything past Ragnar. I think, yeah, sure, why not? Tom can channel, and I don't know. Perrin is a lady. I don't know.
And I can turn on audio for the video, but I don't know how to get it to go through on the Discord stream without messing with my mic instead. So
Well, that's okay. So if people ever want to, well, everybody on this watching this with us should basically go and subscribe to our YouTube, anyways.
So
But if we can hear it on the actual YouTube recording when it comes out, that'll be something. However, if we can pause here, who do you guys think this song is about?
You don't
I have
know
no
until like
clue.
the second or third to last line, but it's supposedly about Luce Theron.
I mean,
Exactly.
only if you've read the books is it about Luce Theron.
But okay,
Yeah,
so
only if
I
you've
went
read the
through this.
book. Yeah,
I went through this whole thing, and maybe I should save this a little bit for later. But let's just say, kind of the early lines of this song, like "Little graves that gave no warning." I don't think graves are meant to give you a warning.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me at all. I
Not,
think I had that in my notes.
none of this foots. I think the next line is "the sun that gave no light." That's not how suns work, right?
That's not how roads work.
Unless that's a black hole, and that's not technically a sun. But let's play through this, and people who are watching this and people who are kind of in the chat here, this clearly gets established that this is Lewis Theron by some of the later lines.
Actually, before we go too much longer, and you can keep playing while I talk through this, but I did go search up like the list of songs that are played in the Wheel of Time, like actually within the books, and all of the songs that we get from Tom, with exception of like two that he gives when they're in the Tower of Genji, are like humorous songs. So like the songs that he sings in the books are like fun, sort of, Village Green during a festival, humorous songs, right? Whereas his actual character is, a court bard. So he does grand epic tales and stories. He's a storyteller more than he is a singer in the actual show. Or sorry, in the books. In the show,
that's true.
In the show, he's
You
a
saw them in the
freaking
rivers.
he's a freaking bar country singer. Like,
So in dreams he heard them whisper, and Lewis Theron's now the man that can't forget. truth that is pain kind of shit. Do you know who's the only person that would? So here we go. He caused the whole world's breaking. That is the biggest clue that this is Louis Theron.
The tortured
But
soul I met means that Ishamael actually made this song. This is Ishamael's song that got
maybe
passed
that's a
down.
solution. The only other solution here, and Matt, can we pause it right here? Okay. The only other way that someone would come up with these lyrics is if they basically read Rand's internal monologue from Lord of Chaos through to Winter's Heart. That's the only, like, it's either an Easter egg for fans or whatnot, but this whole idea of someone who is completely tortured, can't forget, feels like dying, weeps for Ilyena and all the rest. Like, I don't know if this is some shitty songwriter talking with Sarah Nakamura and trying to come up with lyrics, and Nakamura is basically just saying, "Oh well, there's this whole great thread in books 6 through 10. That's all Rand going insane, but he's inside Louis Theron's mind." How the shit would a Gleeman come up with a song like this?
Yeah,
What?
because
Why would they?
Ishamael wrote
Because
it.
Because according to this show, Gleemen are like secret keepers of history that no one wants them to keep, not just storytellers
like,
and
are you saying that
entertainers.
this is a fourth age song that's come full circle 7 ages later, and
Yep.
it's
Who knows?
Hey,
but
in this
I,
shot though too,
I'm
it's
doing
also
brain
worth
damage.
worth pointing out that how would you ever cast the character of Tom and give him a scruffy beard instead of a thick mustache?
I know.
Like I just
Do
like
not weep for
why would
Menethrin, weep for Tom's mustache.
like seriously, why would a single person who's like actually trying to do a good faith adaptation, you could cast this same guy and do the same shitty scene. Just give him a freaking mustache. At least like then it would have been like, ah, you actually read the book. Instead, it's like I literally am not convinced that this is Tom Maryland. This is another Gleeman. This is another Gleeman named Tom.
So I got something to
Tom
say about this
Barrelane.
scene. Uh, so with the whole drama between people who defend the show and hate the show, that you always get this thing of like you criticize something about the show, oh, because you hate that thing. You criticize casting, it's because you hate that person's race. You criticize the the showrunner, it's because you hate gay people or whatever. And
I hate guitars.
let me tell you, my kind of music is country. I have Alan Jackson, Brad Paisley, Johnny Cash, Joshua. Those are the guys who dominate my music list, and I hate this scene so much for what it did to Tom.
Turned it into a country music star with a duster. Fuck. Anyway,
He's
I love
better.
when
He's better cast as the freaking everyone's favorite wizard in Chicago than he is Tom Maryland.
he's out of a Cormac McCarthy fucking novel. This guy, like, oh man.
He'd be fine in Firefly, but not in Wheel of Time, man. Not in Wheel of Time.
Anyways, all I gotta say about
can
this
you
is
imagine?
his song only makes sense if the person who wrote that song was inside Rand's head. Now, this is fucked up. All right, we're gonna cry, or do we want another round? And with that, actually, let's throw it at Alex because you had something to say.
Can you imagine having filmed and done all of this work, gotten this all the way out, gotten it edited, got it all the way out to post production, and then The Witcher decides that they're going to have Yaskier or Dandelion,
Yep.
and they had Toss a Coin to Your Witcher just demolish the charts. I mean, you've got like, no, Dan Vasc has like 12.5 million views on his cover of that song. And you just decided that you were just going to have this dude do this kind of like sad little like 6 cup
Donation for the
poem
Gleeman.
thing. And I mean, how do you not walk out of that just feeling like you're an incompetent dumbass?
I mean,
So
I don't even know why Tom's kind of wanting money like that. That's not how Gleeman work.
Well, here's the thing: they can't decide whether Gleeman worked that way or not because they have him asking for the donation and whatnot. But at the end of his song, he just gets down and walks away. He doesn't give anybody any opportunity to give him money in the
Not,
immediate
not, not
aftermath.
only that, as we'll see right now, is the whole frickin' place was completely depressed by his awful song. And then Dana here says, "Or do we want another round?" And then everybody gets excited, "Yay, more beer!" And the mood revives. And then everybody, for some inexplicable reason, decides to start throwing money at Tom Maryland.
Again,
As we'll
because
see.
he actually normally gives uplifting,
Yay, here we
happy
go.
songs,
No,
and instead,
now they are, because we can drink,
Yeah.
right?
Also, Tom's purpose in this story, at least in the first book, in the Eye of the World, is to do world building. He's a way to like basically inject exposition in a way that like is interesting. And the fact that this is all they give him in terms of exposition is the man who can't forget, which makes no sense unless you've read the books.
All right, Matt,
Ridiculous.
we can pause here because a couple of things, right? So we just saw the thief steal from Matt. We just saw Tom Maryland steal from the thief. But remember, Tom is apparently newly arrived in town, but Tom is known enough that Dana's saying if you listen to him and you sing and it's not him, you'll get thrown into the river. Did that happen before?
Yeah, she says
How,
no, she
how
says
are they this
anybody but him
familiar?
sings in here gets thrown in the river. So it's like he's the only one even endured to sing around here, even though he just got into town.
It's self-contradictory up the wazoo, but I don't know. This is just
It's
this
just
is AIDS
Dana.
on stilts.
It's just Dana doing what they think, rural people do. Newcomers come into town, and we don't take kindly to your types around here.
Oh man. Oh man.
And can you imagine if like you're just at a bar and somebody just came in and played a real downer? Like the people at the bartenders would be pissed as hell. No, they'd be like, "Can we get some Sweet Caroline up in here? You know, some Life is a Highway. Like we can get these people like going."
Oh, and here, so sorry. So Matt got robbed by a pickpocket. Tom robs the pickpocket, doesn't give the stolen property back to Matt because it's supposedly a life lesson for him for for some fucking reason.
Yeah.
Tied to this penny for donation for the Gleeman or what? What is it from The Witcher? Toss a penny to the
Toss a
I
coin to
don't
your
know.
Witcher.
Toss a coin to the wit. But okay, so he's being a dick here. If
Yeah.
not anything, he's walking away with stolen property,
Yeah,
right?
he's already heard from Matt and Rand that they're poor, who and just doesn't care.
I'm gonna say is, man, for a guy as world educated as Tom is apparently supposed to be here, can you imagine taking money from a 6'6" guy carrying a heron marked blade? That seems like a real good way to get stabbed through the chest. But you
But
know,
think about it in the world context where we don't even know it's a heron mark blade, or certainly not that that means anything. And Rand is
Well, we know
like
it
The
at
means
mark is on the
best,
testing because
blade
of
and it's
episode 8.
sheathed.
and at best,
And-
Rand is like 6'1" and kind of looks like a wimp.
Well, no,
yeah,
he kind of
He does
looks
kind
like
of look like a wimp,
a
but
Dutch gay underwear model, which is kind of what he is.
yeah.
Although he's only half Dutch, he's also half Polish, so we can hold that against him. The Polak part.
yeah.
All right, let's keep this moving.
All right, we're gonna leave Breen Springs fucking thankfully right around now. And a bloody expensive lesson. Bloody first time we're actually hearing that, right?
Yep. We
I
had
don't
we had
even-
to
I'm not even going to give them credit for that. I think that was just him being very British, not him being,
No,
in
no,
the
no. But he's Dutch and Polish. He's not British at all. All right, we are out, and now we are on the windswept Carolyn grass. Nice shot.
which is
Or
pretty
is it?
mountainous for the Carolyn grass.
Yeah. He's got his mouth open. That's good. Good direction. Keeping things consistent. Although his lips are chapped and it's kind of gross.
He's always
Although,
frowning.
actually, I know I said I wasn't going to do this, but Matt, can we go back just very, very briefly, looking at the
Boo.
subtitles here? No, because there's barking. A little bit more than this. You hear barking. Oh, okay. Barking in distance.
Yeah.
Yes. Pips was completely right. This cannot be Tinker Dogs. These are the wolves and they are barking. And the subtitles prove you right, Pips. These are dogs. They're not wolves.
Well, so in a later episode, it will specifically say dogs barking. So when we see Perrin escape from the White Cloaks, and by that I mean Egwene escape from the White Cloaks, and Perrin is like smart
Oh
enough
my
to at
God.
least sort of follow along after her when she escapes valiantly. You'll see subtitled there "Dogs Barking," which is hilarious.
I'll point this out now because I don't think it got pointed out last episode, and we won't be able to tell without the audio. But when I was rewatching this in preparation for these episodes, I paid attention, and every time the wolves are on screen, there is some kind of wolf audio going on, howling, barking, whatever, uh, and it does not match at all. The wolves always have their mouths closed or they're panting. That's it. There's no synchronization whatsoever.
Not the worst editing mistake in this show, but I love the anal
All
retentive
of
attention to detail. I do.
all of the dog trainers had COVID.
Right. There's a line that Egwene's gonna get here coming up that's just like the
And
most
Nonsense on
disrespectful thing to
stilts.
Perrin.
if they do latch onto that whole "these are the Tinker's dogs" thing as some sort of actual defense of this, then you can just say they've been chasing them so far they camped for the night. Like, why are the Tinker's dogs 2 days away from their caravan?
Fresh tracks and deep, carrying lots of people. Who do you think they could? Uh, why am I even doing this
How
dialogue?
does he know?
Traders. It's
How does he know they're carrying people?
Why would he even say
because
White
the deep
Cloaks?
ruts.
Why? So pause
Well,
there.
because he
That,
saw
but
them.
deep
Why would
ruts
he
doesn't tell you
even
people. Deep ruts tells you
say
weight.
White Cloaks? They saw the White
No, no, no.
Cloaks and they had
This
not a
is
single
ridiculous.
wagon.
Stop. Can you pause here, Matt? Egwene concludes that they're heading east. If all you have are tracks in the mud, how the fuck do you know which way they're going, east or west?
If there's footprints alongside, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah. If
think
there's
that's common.
Which they didn't impose in.
if
They
there's
didn't.
if there's any hoof prints or footprints, you would know. But
They didn't
Yeah,
include
there's
any.
nothing. It's just tire tracks. Or
Couple tire tracks on the you can't tell from the treads. But here's the thing. Even if, let's say in this shot, as you guys were saying, if you had the hoof prints, so you could see the horseshoes or the direction and the boot prints of the direction they were going, Egwene does not stop to stoop down and investigate at all. Perrin's doing that. So Perrin could say they're going this way, and maybe that's even worth a line like they're going that way because I see that's the way that their prints are going.
yeah, but she's a
Egwene doesn't
better
do any of that.
but she's a better tracker than he is. He's bending down to look at it. She can see it from there. So
I hate Egwene.
what? Hold up. Is she even looking along the tracks, or is she looking off towards the mountains?
she's just wistfully into the distance.
She's just assuming other people are going in the same direction she is because why wouldn't they? Everybody goes that way. Or wait, is this another example of all roads actually lead to Tarvalon? Because roads work
The
that way.
wolves, Perrin. It's almost like they let us here. Why does Egwene get that line?
And how does anybody get that line? Like, what has happened to make them think the wolves are leading them in a particular direction?
What?
We've only seen them run in seemingly random directions.
Yeah.
The
What in
wolves have
world?
not been in front of them at all. They chase them there rather than lead them there.
Yeah, but you know,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
Semantics.
that's
But
just bad dialogue. My question was more, what was the motivation to have Egwene come to that conclusion and not Perrin, the one who has a psychic connection with the wolves and a keen and unique insight into their mind and motivations?
because
What the
Egwene's
hell
the
did
main character, Alex. Come on,
I
haven't
know,
you clued in
I
yet?
know.
And him delivering
But
lines like that would be less time for him to have his mouth open or brows furrowed.
it's you're not wrong. We should stay well back until we know who's following. Following what?
Until we know who we're following, I think you said.
Didn't it say who's following? Maybe it's just a subtitle screw up. Oh, who we're
That's
following?
right,
You're
they
right.
said
You're
who
right.
we're
You're right.
following.
Doesn't change the fact that scene's shitty.
How do they?
Why is he still slouched? Anyway, it's like on
They had to
purpose.
get him in frame with Egwene.
Oh my god. But even here, it's like a wide establishing shot, and he's still not allowed to lift his head up. Anyways, back in the stupid bar, Rand's got enough money, but Matt got robbed. Ha ha ha. And now we're getting close to kind of where we're gonna cut for a drink break
Can
and
we just
cut
ask
the
the
episode.
question? Can we just ask the
Sure.
question?
Let's pause
Why
here
does Matt
and
have
ask the
money?
question.
Why does Matt have money in the first place? We established that he's so broke that he can't buy lanterns for his siblings.
Well, wait, how much was
Well,
that going to be? Like
yeah.
one
In
mark
fairness,
or
those lanterns seem pretty expensive.
They did seem pretty expensive, but he had lost all of his money gambling, right? He lost all of his money gambling, and then he didn't actually get any money for the bracelet that he pawned. He just got the lanterns. So Matt, at this point, you should think that he is completely broke, and yet
Or did Rand and parents succeed in foisting that money off on him that they were trying to?
Sorry, Alex, you're breaking up there, so I think your hotel connection's kind of shitty. But this is a good point too, in that so in the books, when everyone's leaving Emmons Field, they have like half a day or more to prepare. Like Lan had to go buy horses for them. They had to write goodbye letters. They had to get all their supplies, etc. In the show, and maybe this is why Matt leaves in his freaking bathrobe. But it's basically Moraine's telling them, okay, time to go now. And they don't have time to collect anything. So you're right. There would be no reason whatsoever to believe that Matt has any money on him whatsoever.
they don't even have a silver penny that Moraine gave.
Touche. Because that would have been good for the plot coming up. Fucking hell. I hate this show so much.
Yeah, they wouldn't just have to say, "I've got people looking out for them" or whatever she says.
1 month later. All right. So we're getting very, very close to our ending here. She's chopping some pig's feet, throwing them into a broth. I don't want to eat that. I don't think anyone does.
So hold up. She just said, "I can tell when a man wants something." So
No, she can't.
is
No,
that
no
her
man
saying?
has ever wanted anything from her in her fucking life.
Oh
She
gosh.
she works at Starbucks and she's on Tumblr. And the reason why you get an outsized amount of scenes with her in this episode is precisely because these writers write what they know, and what they know is being working in a bar, having a nose ring, being on Tumblr, and genuinely like being gross and nihilistic. That's it.
Well, my question was, uh, is this some little internal contradiction with the show here of her later assuming certain things about Rand and Matt's proclivities, and right here she's saying kind of the opposite?
She's writing when
That
she
does
doesn't
seem
know
to
Matt.
imply that.
Actually, no. I think
That's
you're.
a good insight there,
I think
Matt.
you're fully wrong there. I think it's actually an indication that again she knows what men wants. She knows that the two of them are a couple. Later, we should expect them to realize for themselves that they're a couple, and we should expect that in season 2.
No, God damn it. God damn. Okay. All right. I got one final point.
Why did
here.
Why did she smell those beers and then dump them in? What the hell
Well,
is
she's
happening?
pouring them into a stew, and you can actually make decent stew out of kind of old beer if you are Irish, which he's not. But if we pause here just before the end, here's my question: what is preventing them from dining and dashing, so to speak? Like, why are they so hung up on, oh, we need a place to live and we can work, or a place for the night, we can work for it?
Because
Rand even
they're under the impression that this place executes thieves.
really, because I'm glad you mentioned that because we just saw two thieves. We saw the pickpocket and we saw Tom Maryland steal from Matt, and they didn't do jack shit about that.
Well, Tom Maryland's because he's the only guy around who's apparently even allowed to sing. But yeah, that pickpocket. Why? Well, I guess Tom's the
What?
only one who actually guessed and
He's the
figured it
town
out.
pickpocket or something like that, and they're just like letting him go because it's like
Well,
Matt's
Tom's the only
not
one.
the only.
Tom's the only one who noticed, and Tom's the one who let him go. And Tom doesn't really count as a resident here.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, all of
That's
Emmons Field was totally fine with Matt being the town pickpocket. So, I mean, it makes sense. Small towns just
okay.
totally allow criminality all the time.
But dine and dash, okay. I get that that might be a problem. Maybe they'd be chased from town, but eventually they'll get up. They seem very hell bent on sleeping under a roof or a tarp. I I don't even know why the whole tarp thing comes up because that whole sequence of them from Whitebridge to Camelin, it was so great in the books. They slept under hedges, but because they had actually developed some skills and they found kind of a way like if we could make the next village and we can perform that evening, then we'll get room and board for the night. We'll double people's customs. Like all that stuff was just fantastic in the books. And I know
Okay,
that's what they're going for here, right? They're combining all that, they're compressing all that into one. I know why they want to sleep at a bar, but when you compress things and it's just this one night, sorry, one night out in the bushes is not going to kill them.
and I gotta say,
What?
But
if
I
you're
would
Why
I
gonna
would they
would
dine
almost
and
look at
dash?
this the opposite in the sense that if they had dined and dashed, we would all be rolling our eyes and being like, "Ugh, now you've made our main characters thieves as well as shitty and
no, because
worthless."
they already made them thieves. If we hadn't
Well,
already
yeah,
established
that
that Matt is a
already.
thief, we wouldn't be saying this.
That's
Um,
that's that's a fairly compelling point. At least
I,
Rand isn't a thief, maybe?
yeah, but that section of the books, you've got Pater, you've got the merchant, you've got I always forget
Holgoed.
her name.
Dagger
The
Millie
assassinus.
Skane.
yes,
Lady
her.
Skane, Millie Skane.
Those are just, I mean, Pater's a little almost comical relief, but the other two, they're just such great scenes, and this is what you go with instead.
Yeah.
I
They
loved the
rolled all
Pater
the
scene from the book. The Pater scene from the book is like in the Lord of the Rings movie, or the Lord of the Rings, when the hobbits come back to the castle and everybody kind of realizes that, you know, these people aren't to be fucked with anymore. Or they back to the Shire rather, and and that scene almost shows that, to the common guy, these two have been through some shit and are actually looking like cool and dangerous. So I really like that scene. But I'm off track here.
No, I like it too. I just Pater's not a particularly imposing character. So, but if you're going for you're trying to create a character here, a dark friend, to give you some idea of what dark friends are and how menacing they can be, then this is what you go with instead of. Uh,
you don't use Pater, but I mean that's because he was the only dark friend we ever hung
no, no,
correctly.
no, no, no. We got his. It was his uncle.
We got his uncle too.
Yeah,
That
we get,
fucker we got
yep.
him too.
Although we don't actually know his uncle was a dark friend. His uncle could have been a good
No,
Queen's
no, no.
man.
No. Because they were arrested at some creepy dark friend ritual in the middle of
Yeah, they
Armitage
No,
Scene.
actually caught them red handed.
that
So
was
all,
it. That was
everybody
an
everybody getting hanged
inquisitor.
there.
That was an inquisitor saying, "Oh yeah, we came across this group, and I
Uh,
heard they were doing dark rituals and stuff like that."
You're saying unreliable narrator, but this is the only instance that the White Cloaks were definitively right. So I'm going to go with yeah they did exactly what was said in the books,
Eh,
and
I've always suspected that Morgaze's narration there is actually more accurate. That Pedro Nile got the group of people who was going to help sneak her out, had them all
No, no, no,
hung,
no,
had them all
no,
hung,
oh
no, because
and
no,
we get a Pedro Nilo Pav after that, and he's a little confused as to like why she suddenly changed her mind.
that's a fair point. Okay, yep.
anyway, the best part about doing this, and for those of you who are listening and don't, maybe you've only read Wheel of Time once all the way through, but yeah, there's always going to be spoilers, kind of dependent on how familiar you are with everything. But one of the best kind of realizations on one of my early rereads was finding out that that Pater Connell guy in Lord of Chaos, who's mentioned in the prologue of Lord of Chaos, yeah, that was the same guy from Eye of the World, which you completely forget. So the first time he gets hung, I feel really bad for him. The second time he gets hung, I'm like, fucking hey, White Cloaks finally got someone.
You
It's
mean
great.
Pater, not Pedron?
Oh, did I? Okay, slip of the tongue. Pater, you're right.
Yeah,
Pater with how many R's?
3.
Not as many R's as
Exactly.
Chotor.
Exactly the same amount of R's as that Marilyn Gamalfin crazy cat lady. All right, let's keep going before we get canceled. All right, we're getting very, very close. I think they still could have bugged out. Didn't have to work for your money. You could have slept under the bushes for a night. But
I just I just noticed. Is this the first instance of somebody saying light? It's like an invective.
no,
Yeah.
but
No.
they say light a lot, but they
Oh,
don't say the light.
Yeah, there was
yep.
actually
That's right.
the way they used it first, I think we actually brought up because it didn't make any sense. It was light give me strength or something like that, right?
When you would actually say like the creator give me strength or something like that.
Or yeah, or you wouldn't say it at all because that's not the way like the world sort of
Yeah.
religion works. But yeah,
I just realized that pickpocket is going to make a fortune off of Rain's bow and sword.
All right, let's pause here. Let's break here. Actually, this is as far as I wanted to get. I think we had a lot of good discussion. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. The next part 4 is going to be a little bit longer in terms of runtime, but there's some really boring scenes coming up where nothing really happens. So I guess with that, any final thoughts before we break for drinks and root beer?
I'll just throw out a to all the people in the Discord. Thanks for tuning in live. We hope that you and a bunch of other people hopefully will tune in when we post this up on YouTube. Um, yeah, it's great. It's great having people out.
For sure, definitely. Guys, like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get more people watching this stuff, and that's a way that you guys can help. So, yeah, we love you.